everyone, you'll have to excuse the camera angle, my bedroom behind me, everything. And I'm also aware that it's been weeks since I uploaded a video to this channel, so I'm really sorry, but you might be able to hear from my voice. We've basically been poorly on and off for weeks now. Every time we get over a virus, we get another one immediately afterwards. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's not been very fun. I thought I would do baby names that we loved, or mainly that I loved, but we didn't use. My daughter is called Darcy, and that's not a name that I thought I would ever really use. It was on my baby name list when I was a teenager, but basically when I fell pregnant, my husband and I realised that we had very different taste in names, and it wasn't easy to come up with a name that we both liked. So I thought I would just go through some of the names that were on my list but we didn't use. So first up is a boy name, which is Dylan. Obviously Darcy ended up being a girl, but I thought I would just do boy and girl names anyway. I love the name Dylan. I envisioned having a son called Dylan, and that, you know, that was my top boy name. And when I met Will, he had 4 nieces and nephews, 3 of whom were very small at the time, and one of them was called Dylan. And I was gutted because I was like, if we stay together and have kids, I can never use the name Dylan. But obviously in the beginning you don't know if things are going to last forever, so it wasn't a big deal. But now it is a big deal because I love that name. And the next 2 names I can't use for the same reason. So the first girl name on my list is Neve, and again, that was my top girl name. My family is Irish, unfortunately so is Will's, so one of his nieces is called Neve, and she was like a year or a year and a half old or something when he and I met. So yeah, she was already in existence, and unfortunately I can't use the name Neve anymore, but it's a beautiful Irish name. And then the next boy name is Theo, and again, a few years after we got together, Will's sister had another baby and called him Theo, and I was heartbroken because Theo was my second top boy name. Back in the day when I decided that I loved all of these names, when I was like quite a young teenager, none of them were really anywhere near the top of the name charts, and I didn't know anyone with these names, so I'm surprised now by like how popular they all are. Like all of the boy names that I liked, and like even the ones I still like, are like right at the top of the charts. So we all have good taste, clearly. The next girl name on my list that we did not use was Violet. I loved the name Violet. I still love it. It's still on my list, like I would still use it, but our surname is Prendergast, which is quite a mouthful, and Violet Prendergast has just too much of a Violet Beauregard vibe for me, and I'm not sure that anyone else would even make that connection. But it just, I don't know, Violet Prendergast just seems a bit too much like Violet Beauregard. And if anyone who doesn't know who Violet Beauregard is, she is the character in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who gets blown up like a blueberry. And yeah, I don't know, every time I said it in my head, like Violet Prendergast, it just sounded like a storybook character. And also with the name Violet, and this, again, this might not bother some people at all, and it didn't like bother me, it wouldn't stop me using it, but it's just something that I thought about. Because violet is a colour, it sometimes sounds like an adjective when you are putting it with other names. So it's not so bad with a surname, but for example, let's use Darcy's name. If I called her Violet Darcy, in my head it's like I'm talking about a Darcy that's violet in colour, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was something that put me off colour names, but I still love the name Violet and I would 100% use it. I could definitely get over all of those things, but sadly Will doesn't like it. Next boy name on my list is Henry, and sadly it's another one that somebody has stolen. Literally the top 3 boy names on my list were Dylan, Theo and Henry, and they were all snapped up in quick succession by family members. My cousin had a little boy and called him Henry a couple of years ago, and sadly I couldn't use the name anymore. I've had a few people say to me that like a cousin having a name wouldn't stop them using it, but even though we're a very big family, we do see each other a few times a year, and now that we've had children, this particular cousin and I see each other a bit more often, and so it would be weird if I used the same name for my child that she has for her son. So yeah, can't do it. Next girl name on my list is one that I'm like hesitant to put out into the universe because I would still use it, but again it's one that Will doesn't really like, so it's unlikely we would ever use it, and that is Verity. Again, it's another name with the V sound in. Neve, Violet, Verity. I love that soft V sound in names. When I was a kid, if I had a doll, she was often called Ava. I just love names with that soft V sound in. I like that it's not like a really popular name. I've actually only met 2 Verities in my entire life, and both of them have been in recent years, to be fair, so I think it is rising in popularity, but it's not in the top 20. And I just think it's such a pretty name. It has a lovely meaning. I think it means like truthful, and yeah, I just think it's so pretty. There's literally like nothing bad that I can say about the name at all, but it's just unlikely that we'll use it because Will doesn't like it. Next boy name is another one that is super popular now. In fact, I think it's like nearing the top of the charts. It may even be at the top of the charts now, I'm not sure, but that is Noah. Again, it's one that I probably wouldn't use anyway because I have an old friend from school who sadly I'm not really in contact with anymore, but her son was called Noah, and so I'd sort of scratched it off my list a long time ago, but I love the name. I would love to use it, but it's too biblical for Will. He isn't like massively keen on biblical names, so it's one that he probably wouldn't go for, but I love it. I think it's a wonderful name. The last name that I'm going to pop in this list for girls is Ailey, which is an Irish name, and I just love it. There are so many other names I could talk about, especially Irish names, but I wanted to keep this video fairly short. But oh, I just love the name Ailey. I think it's so beautiful, and as with many Irish names, I think the beauty is in the spelling, but that is exactly the reason why I probably wouldn't use it. I think the problem is that with an Irish spelling like that, they'd forever be spelling it, telling people how to pronounce it. People would see it written down and be like, what is your name? And I mean, my name is Chloe, which I never thought of as a difficult name, but you'd be shocked by how many people just cannot spell it. So I wouldn't necessarily want to do that with my child's name. I wouldn't want to make life more difficult for them than it needs to be. But I just love it. I think it's so beautiful. And if you have an Ailey, I'm very jealous. Or if you are an Ailey, love it. Those are a few names that were on my list when I was pregnant with Darcy that we didn't go for. Obviously a lot of the boy names had already been taken by other people, but I find baby names just wonderful. I love names. I love looking up name meanings, although poor Darcy, her name means the dark one, or from Darcy, the place in France, so didn't get a great meaning with her name, but I love it and it suits her. If you have a favourite baby name in the comments that maybe you didn't get to use, please share it with me. I would love to know, or like your favourite name meaning or something like that. And yes, hopefully I will be back with another video very soon. Now that I'm getting over this next cold, hopefully this will be the last one and I can get back to making content. I will see you next time. Bye guys.